We're here with Ginni Rometty, the former chairman and CEO of IBM, and the author of Good Power, a new book about leadership for yourself and for your company and for the world. Let's start with good power and what exactly you mean by that. How do you define what good power is?
Well, it is a concept I backed into in retrospect. So this isn't like I was born thinking about it or born leading with it. And it's, to me, when people bring up the topic power, I think you find so many bad negative examples in the world today, the news or people. It is sort of top line headline for me. Good power turned out to be if you can lead in a way that is respectful, if you embrace tension, do not polarize things, and if you actually celebrate progress, not perfection. It's what I learned from lots of people over years, and in the end, I kind of come up with 5 principles, again, retrospectively, that I think are a great way to think about changing your own career, changing your company, and really even solving societal problems.
I feel like that these concepts of being a good steward and building trust and being in service to people, it feels like the world's CEOs are waffling on this, that they bought into that a few years ago. The pandemic suddenly changed their perspective on so many things. Then Elon Musk takes over Twitter and comes at it with a very different kind of strategy. And suddenly there's a feeling of, oh, maybe we were getting it wrong and he's got it right, that we should be more nose to the grindstone and forcing people to work hard. Can both of these things be true at the same time?
I actually think both of these can be true because I do write a lot about, don't get confused, you have to have results in parallel to all of this. So this isn't just do good, rah-rah, it's how you do your work matters a lot, I believe, but you have to have progress at the same time. And so even though, and you're right about how there's certainly a lot written about, how do people really feel right now? But I actually believe those that have been around a long time realize you got to do all these stakeholders at one time. You'll never please them all in the same amount. You're constantly living in the gray area and balancing those tensions. And I don't think what's happening externally is changing their views on that right now. I think they're still doing it. They may talk about it differently because of the different external pressures, but really great companies, in my book, I still see them all still working on those.
So one decision that you made at IBM a number of years ago, where I'm guessing these principles were put to the test for you, was to divest the chip business, which is such a hot topic now,
yes.
The U.S. manufacturing of chips. Can you walk us through what that decision was like and the strategy there?
And so actually what we divested of was just the manufacturing. But I use it, in the story, I tried to be really vulnerable and personal for lots of reasons. And I'm trying to tell a story there to illustrate this idea that when you're in a really difficult situation with a lot of tension, the answers are often not X or Y. You sometimes have to sit in a really uncomfortable spot and find a third answer. And which is why I think a lot of tough problems could have progress in our world right now if people would just find like a third and it's not a compromise.
And this thread the needle.
Yeah, it's a perfect example because what we did was we did research, development, and manufacturing of chips. Well, it was becoming so expensive. Every new chip, $10 billion for a new factory. And remember, we had to move to AI, we had to move to cloud. Couldn't afford to do all of this. Yet had really customers banking, and to this day, on those chips. So shareholders would say, get rid of that business. You're not a big scale player. And customers were like, no. And so, but in the end, what we found, and the guys had to, God bless them all, and they really worked hard on this, and it was very controversial inside. They had to reformulate the whole development and research and development process so they could separate the manufacturing out because that's what was costing so much. So we found a partner, and that was hard because you do nationally secure things, and so let's put that aside, but that's what took a lot of time, get a right partner, and then we kept the R&D. And the R&D is like a national treasure, and that to me is a very important part of now the CHIPS Act.
You write a lot in the book about your upbringing, and it was not a necessarily easy life at home. Your family split up when you were 16, and money was not often easy to come by. You put yourself through school, through scholarships and jobs, and a lot of penny pinching. And it seems to be a theme that runs through the book and through your career, driving you and playing a big role in your ambition.
I say in the introduction, who do you see when you close your eyes? And, I talk about my father abandoning our family, not because I want anyone to feel sorry. It is what I learned from my mother that I celebrate, and it will then impact what I do forever. She had no education. She was 34 with 4 kids, had not worked a day in her life. And here she finds us, and we're on food stamps, we're almost homeless. And she decides, no, this can't be how the story ends. So she's not gonna be a victim, and gets a little education, gets a job, a little more, gets a job. But what she taught me, was don't let anyone define you.